Yo, what's up guys, Ben on Fire here back from the video, and today we're going to be hopping into another Madden 22 mini scheme offense. You guys have been liking these videos a lot. So we got one of the best formations actually in this game that I just kind of found out about. It's going to be the single back ace. Now this single back ace formation is in a ton of playbooks. It's in a real lot of playbooks. I'm not going to go through all of them. The one we're in today is going to be the run heavy playbook, which is actually probably the best one. Going through all of them, there's like 20. Run heavy is probably the best. Just taking a look at some of our plays here. All three of these plays are really good. Tight end option in, you have a post route, you have a C route, you have a nice fade on the right side, then you have your halfback dive. And then you have X option, nice little corner out with the tight ends. Going down, you got PA deep in, which is a post route from the other side. Ace wide receiver stretch, that plays decent. You have a little kind of a wheel route with the tight end that can be useful. Of course, just take a look at all these run plays. We got a draw, moving down, we got a counter, tight end cross, that's one of our favorite plays in this. Halfback smash can be decent, double hitch, really good play right there. And then you have a halfback pitch, definitely an interesting play. You have a zone weak, PA boot, again, one of the cooler play arts. And then, of course, you have your stretch. Last but not least, you have your wide receiver quick, and you kind of have all three of these plays that kind of deal with our end around or kind of correlated to our end around. So we have a ton of plays. Here's our audibles: tight end option in, halfback slam, stretch, and tight end cross. We will be going over a lot of other plays. So without further ado, let's jump straight into it. Now this playbook, again, is very good. There's a lot of unique formations in this playbook, like a single back east, single back trips Y slot. You have like gun ace, which is also something that's kind of cool. But for now, we're going to start out with the first play, which is tight end option in. This is going to be a pretty balanced formation with how much you want to kind of run the ball and pass the ball. You're going to stay pretty balanced offensively. You don't want to run the ball 20, you want to run the ball 20 times, pass the ball 15 times, something like that. Pretty balanced attack. Now we're going to start out with tight end option in. This is a really good play. Taking a look at your play art, you have a nice post, you have a corner out with TY, of course. When you're running this, you want to get two good tight ends. I'll usually go ahead and just run this with maybe like A on a drag, RB. You can kind of throw them on that wheel route if you want. Something like this can be a nice little starter for your play art right here. Just going to dump it down on the drag. But yeah, anytime you can get like all of these routes stock where you don't need a hot route master to run a certain concept, it's going to be pretty nice. So you don't need necessarily a tight end apprentice in this offense because you have Mo Alley Cox here on his post route. So this offense was a little bit better before the delay fade patch, I will say. Definitely being able to block one of those tight ends and have them on a delay fade would be nice. Of course, it's patched, so you can't really do that as much. But you can also just put Taylor on a little route like this. Of course, Mo Alley Cox runs pretty deep, so we can actually throw him almost as a crossing type of route. Definitely something I like. As far as the motion in this formation, you can definitely use some motion. So if we want to, we can motion either wide receiver over, and they will, of course, run to the slot kind of like this. So maybe we go like a little slant route, and then we flat A, put RB on a little backside out route, something like this. You could definitely create. Of course, I'm probably going to motion snap if I'm doing that, but you can definitely create some cool thing with motion. We're not going to motion on too many plays. We do want to go through these setups quickly, but that is something you can do. Also, you can motion these tight ends over. It creates a single back wing look, as you see here, and you get a little bit of a deep corner route. So you definitely maybe run something like this. Who knows what you're going to do, but concept like this could work. And then maybe you're able to hit the C route with T.Y. Hilton over there. So those are a couple of ideas for you out of the tight end option. And again, let me know if you show a lot of support on this video. If you want to see a gameplay, let me know down below in the comments, and I might be able to bring that to you. Our next play is going to be the halfback slam. Now this is a little bit of a slower version of dive. Realistically, it might be a little bit better if we have dive, but I do think the passes make up for a little bit slower halfback dive. I do think some of these single back ace formations have a halfback dive. Again, don't quote me on that. I think like the Bengals one definitely has it, but you're giving up a halfback dive to get a lot better passing plays. I think that's a fair trade. Again, it is a little bit slower, but it's still, sometimes these slower handoffs, you guys got to actually understand, are actually better in the game because it allows you to be patient, allows your blocks to develop. And if he's not selling out completely on the run, you see how they can actually let your offensive lineman get a little bit of push to where you're not running into your own guys in that case scenario. Now, some people will see the single back ace, they will sell out on the run. If they're putting 7 guys in the box, who knows, even more. That's a situation where maybe you just go to the passing attack until you're able to gain his respect in the passing game, and then once you start dotting him up, he's going to start putting more people in coverage, backing some guys off, and that's where you can start to run the football on him. So other guys will just come out in like a nickel formation. Any nickel formation, you should be able to ground and pound. Again, it's 5 linemen, 2 tight ends, and they're all lined up in this position. So really the strength is going to be pretty much running it up the middle, and you can definitely see that with just the way the blocks develop. Now, running up the middle might not result in as many big plays, but it's going to be more effective overall. And again, you've seen we've already kind of used motion. You can also use tight end motion with this, create a nice little motion block, and that opens up a big gap up the middle for us. So those are some concepts you can incorporate with the motion while also disguising your runs as potential passing plays. Of course, when you're running the ball, you want to make some fake hot routes, kind of disguise it as a passing play, but overall still continue to run the ball. So that's some of my tips to get open runs. Moving on to our next one, we're going into the stretch alert X lookie. Some formations, some playbooks that have the single back ace will have a normal stretch. Some will also have a stretch alert. What's it called? I don't exactly remember. I think it's called a stretch alert X smoke, I want to say, where instead of being on a slant with T.Y. Hilton, he'll be on a smoke screen. Now, this one might actually be better because you actually have the threat to potentially throw. You have the potential to throw your slant, which is definitely nice. The smoke screen, you're never really going to throw a smoke screen on an RPO just by itself, so I do feel like it's helpful. Another reason you gotta like this formation is the fact that you can flip it without your opponent knowing. You can easily flip the formation, get it on a favorable side. So depending on the side, like as you can tell by this defense right here, we have Kevin Byard down here with the safety spot. Now, the defensive line might be shaded a little bit over to the right. It looks pretty symmetrical to me. So in this case, we are going to run it to the right. If I had it to the left, we could flip it, but that's just going to be some simple stuff that this formation will allow you to do because it is symmetrical. You have the same, tight end to wide receiver on both sides of the formation. That's just some nice things that you can only do out of things like this. Now, of course, you see, because of the defense we're in, we're not really going to throw this slant because that linebacker is sitting on it every single time, but certain cases, if he's selling out or if it's maybe a backed off man coverage or just man coverage in general, you might be able to throw that slant. Again, Kevin Byard in his curl flat zone is going to be sitting on that, so you're not going to throw it in this situation. But maybe if he was coming from the safety position, that's a situation where maybe you're able to take advantage. But you see the stretch. This is just a base 3-4 like under or something. And there's a decent amount of people in the box here. We have a 7-man box, and we're still able to run the football both with the dive and the stretch well. So even if your opponent is playing the run, as he should in this formation, don't be afraid to run the ball. Moving on to tight end cross. This is probably the best play potentially in the formation. Taking a look at what we have. Deep post, always really good to have a stock deep post in any formation, any play. So Michael Pittman will take that for deep cover 2 beaters, potential cover 4 beaters. Then you have Mo Alley Cox on this pretty deep crosser. That's going to be the main crosser. We also have Doyle, so for our first setup, we might put T.Y. on a little smoke screen, and we'll just kind of run it like this. So you see look how deep Mo Alley Cox gets. Really good spot over the zones. Jack Doyle's crosser is going to be a lot more shallow, as you would have if you guys were taking a look at that left side. We'll throw it over here, but Jack Doyle can still potentially get over the top as he did right there. So he does get a little bit of depth. It's kind of as some of those route combinations that you've probably seen guys run in bunch where they have a little in route. Maybe if you want, you could run some kind of an in route concept like that. I like the crosser because it's going to develop a lot faster, and sometimes in single back, the blocks will not be the best. You have to have really good pocket if you're running an under center formation passing the football, so that is something that I would advise you to do. Now, if you want to add some things, you can go with Taylor on a little out route. Check hit down to him at any time. Again, running back route's really good in both shotgun and under center, so that's just an easy concept that you can do. If I was going with motion, maybe we can actually motion Doyle over, put him on a little drag, and then with X, we can maybe curl T.Y. Hilton. You can go with a little curl flat concept like this with Taylor on the left side, or maybe we just put him on like a dig route, something like this, and create a complete kind of flood concept. This would not be terrible. You see, you can kind of throw that in route. The curl flat concept wouldn't be bad as well. So if you want to incorporate some motion, I know the tight end motion is probably not as favorable as a potential wide receiver motion. That is certainly an option for you guys. Now, again, we can maybe motion T.Y. over. If we want to keep the same combo, we go with a little drag to the backside, or we can go with him on maybe a zig route. Something like this can definitely be a good combo again. So a lot of times you might want to block 6, especially if he's going to send pressure, because it is a single back formation. You'll probably see more 5-man rushes, but yeah, with that being said, let's hop into a new set of plays. Alright, now of course we're not going to go over every single play that I mentioned and didn't talk about, but we're going to go over pretty much just these plays. We have actually a 5 set of audibles here with the wide receiver quick thrown in. And one of the reasons I like this reverse is sometimes with a lot of reverses, different plays like this where you can't do much with it, they actually set up in a different position where maybe the wide receiver is in a couple of steps, which can be a tell that you're running it. But with this one, you see I'm audibling. Nothing's happening to our wide receivers, so he's not going to know it. Of course, he's going to see this motion, but the odds of him really being able to make too many adjustments after seeing the motion is going to be a little bit low. And of course, you have that play action to go off of it, so you can definitely create some combos with that, especially if you notice him going with a potential run commit. Now, Michael Pittman's not our guy to do this, really. He's not a burner. He's more of a aggressive rocket catch type receiver, possession receiver. He's not going to get too much after the catch, so he's not the ideal guy with it, which means maybe you can flip it. And this is the same situation with the stretch where you can flip it if one side is more favorable, which I would say this side is a little bit better as far as getting to the outside goes. But this one can be better, really, if he's packing the box with inside guys. If he's backed off, you can also maybe get a big play. You notice we're not getting too much here, but if you were in a nickel set, you could be getting a little bit more. But right here, we're not getting much, but I did want to show it just because it can be a dangerous play if you get a Tyreek kill someone really fast there. The other runs we threw in are the counter and the pitch. I do like that halfback slash actually a lot. That plays pretty good, but we'll throw in the counter. I do like the way that this counter sets up as far as getting to the outside, following your blocks. This is, again, a situation where you want to be patient, but the counter has a lot of big play potential, in my opinion. You can definitely, right there, you see a big play potential. We are able to break it outside and get big 10 yards. This is going to take a lot of ball carrier vision. It's going to take some skill to be able to tell if you're going to cut it inside or outside. Again, we can flip all of these runs to pretty much either side. There you see we pick up a really good block there by our boy Quentin Nelson on the pull. But yeah, man, counters are really good. I don't know why I see not enough people running the counter. It is very, very effective. Again, you can flip it. Same thing, you can incorporate some motion. So we motion Mo Alley Cox over, create a little misdirection. Maybe if you're trying to cut up the middle, that's something you could do, where you could kind of pick up a wham block almost. But yeah, man, you guys see the counter pretty dang good. Again, you're going to want to run it to the right mainly against this kind of a front, but against symmetrical things like 3-3-5 wide, you can really run it to either side. Now, again, since it's a symmetrical formation, you don't really have to pick which side you're on depending on the hash mark, which is also something nice. So, of course, it's symmetrical. It doesn't matter if you're on the left hash or the right hash, but usually you would probably want to run to the wide side. Moving on to our next one, we're going to have the pitch. I do like the pitch a lot. It is kind of slow developing, and it really just depends on if you can get good sealers off the edge. Now, the pitch, again, it's going to be if they compress the box a lot. If they're on a 3-4 odd or something, you can run that pitch. And it also kind of depends on T.Y. Hilton making a block, which he did not do there, of course. Now, again, this is something where maybe if I'm running the pitch to the left side, we can actually motion Michael Pittman Jr. across, because you notice how, again, zone coverage, the corner's not going to shadow him, and then he can actually pick up Kevin Byard right there, and we pick up, a first down right there. So that's something you can do. I would also probably do that same thing to the other side. So we flip it, and then we motion T.Y. Hilton over. Again, it's zone coverage. None of these guys are going to shadow over because they're in an outside third. And now T.Y. Hilton's going to pick up Bud Dupree, which he actually does a good enough job of at least, getting him offline. But yeah, man, it's just a pretty good run. Just all these runs are different. They're cool. Some unique stuff that your opponent might not prepare for. You see it can get blown up. The pitch is either, usually 10 yards or -2. So it is kind of a high risk, high reward. You see sometimes the blocks will not just develop at all. Sometimes you guys get kind of stuck. So it can be interesting. I would like this better if the wide receivers were compressed, because that would kind of allow us to either just go completely outside or cut it inside. Whereas this, formation kind of forces you to go one way. And if the blocks don't develop, you're kind of in a bad position where you can't do much out of the pitch game. But we'll throw it in. Moving on to our next two plays, we got this double hitch play. See, these plays just have the corner routes from the tight end going to the opposite side. This play stock's actually not bad. You have a couple of hitches with your tight end, and you have T.Y. Hilton on this little double move. It's a corner post route. Takes a pretty long time to develop, but it actually is not terrible. So this is another kind of a stock play that you can actually run. You have, of course, your hitch corner route, which you notice definitely gets open. Now I'm probably wanting to run this on the wide side or short side of the field, so maybe we want to re-spot the ball so that we have more space for our corner out. Also, I'm not too huge of a fan of actually going ahead and putting B on a hitch. I like the smoke screen a little bit better. It's going to just completely allow me to see who I'm going to throw it to, whereas the hitch sometimes actually puts the zone in a position to play both because maybe it's 5 yards down the field. Now we're running it at 0 yards and we don't have that issue, so that is something that you could definitely do. Now these passing plays I don't run as much. I don't have as many setups, but we did want to run them just a couple of times so you could see. Take a look at T.Y. Hilton again. He takes a long time to develop, but he actually gets in a pretty sweet spot, kind of like a deep dig route or a deeper, fatter post route. So he does get in a decent spot. As far as motion for this, maybe we motion T.Y. over, go with a little slant to, I don't know what you would do, maybe flat combo. I can't audible right now, but maybe slant to flat like this. You wheel RB, which we would probably want RB to the other side in this case. You could streak B, something like this. Maybe you run, streak, slant. You have a little Jonathan Taylor action over here, and now we get a lot more space to throw Jack Doyle against just a standard one zone coverage to the outside, so that's an option for you. Moving on to our last play, we got the X option, which this is a similar play. Michael Pittman's going to run a variety of routes, including 3 different ones depending on the coverage. I'm not exactly sure how those work, I'll be honest. I think it's man coverage, he might run his posts or his out route. Well, we of course don't know, but you can go with a little combo like this: drag A, streak X. We'll see what Michael Pittman's going to run. He's going to run the dig. Mo Alley-Cox is on a deeper corner route. Jack Doyle's on kind of a shorter man-beating one. This one's more of a zone-beating, deeper corner route. So that is, of course, a thing we want to bring up. Again, you can go a little drag. Maybe we wheel RB, throw X on a little drag, or we put X in motion, we streak him, and then something like this. You can just create cool things like this. And maybe we go with a curl flat or something like this on the back end. And then we curl A or put A on like an in route. You could just do cool different things like this. Really online would give you guys probably a better idea on what I would do. But yeah, man, just different setups. Overall, it's going to do for the video. If you enjoyed, drop a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel down below, and peace. I'm out of here.